All right, joining me now, we welcome Senator Ted Cruz of the great state of Texas back to the show. Senator Cruz, welcome, sir. First off, what'd you make of the Hannity interview last night with the president and Elon Musk? I'm sure you saw it.
Look, I think the president and Elon Musk are an incredibly potent team, and I'm really glad they're both good friends. I know them both exceedingly well, and I think it's very good for America that the two of them have become such close friends and such close partners. You look at Elon Musk, he's the richest man on the face of the planet. He could be doing anything he wanted, including running any of his multiple companies, and instead he's come to work for the American people for free and bringing his prodigious talents to taking on sprawling government spending, out of control waste. And I got to say, every day what DOGE is uncovering, it is breathtaking. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that he and President Trump are working so well together.
And it seems like, I mean, look, by Elon's own words, we talked about this a little bit in the first segment, but I want to get your take on it. I mean, he's kind of the high-tech assistant, but he's also going to be the implementer or enforcer of President Trump's policies, particularly his executive orders throughout the government. And I think that is the most powerful jet fuel enforcer in the history of presidential politics.
Well, look, I think Elon Musk is very much a change agent. He is. You think about it, there are 8 billion people on planet Earth, and if you assume intelligence is distributed on a bell curve, Larry, you and I have both known some incredibly smart people. Someone is at the bleeding edge of that bell curve, and I think his name is Elon. I mean, it is, you spend time with him. Elon doesn't just think outside the box. He doesn't know there's a box. It's an incredible thing. Right. And I will say it is an incredible asset to President Trump to have someone like Elon willing to dive in night and day and pour his prodigious talents into fighting for President Trump's agenda. I'll also say there are an awful lot of Democrats and a lot of folks in the corporate media who are desperate to try to drive a wedge between President Trump and Elon Musk. They're doing everything they can to try to create friction. And as far as I can tell, those efforts have been an utter failure. The two are working hand in hand, and that's good for America.
Yeah, and I think that showed up beautifully in the Hannity interview last night. Senator Ted Cruz, President Trump on Truth Social today. One big, beautiful bill. He likes what's happening in the House. He said we don't need the Senate bill. What's your take? You know, this has a familiar ring to it. I think you and I talked about this a few months ago, but I don't want to remind anybody of it. But the fact is, we don't need another Senate bill. We got a House bill that's got everything in it. It's what the president wants. Can you just give him what he wants, sir?
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry, you and I and the president, we're all on the same page that we want to succeed in delivering on our promises, that failure is not an option. And that's true whether it is one bill or two bill. As I told you, there continue to be real risks in the House of failure of a gigantic bill with a tiny margin for error. And so I'll tell you that the Senate's perspective is that we need to have dual tracks. We need to have options to make sure we get this done. And so today at lunch, we had Vice President J.D. Vance joined us at lunch. We had a robust discussion with the Vice President and John Thune, who laid out that the Senate is going to continue to proceed with the budget resolution we have in front of us so that we ensure there is a path to deliver, number one, to secure the border, number two, to rebuild the military, number three, to unleash American energy, and number four, something you and I care deeply about, to extend the 2017 tax cuts and to make them bigger and bolder. We got to get all of that done, and that means we need every avenue available to accomplish that result.
Senator Cruz, 2 or 3 bills puts the tax cuts on the back burner. And companies, large and small, and middle-income working folks who have made up the new Republican coalition will definitely feel that they're on the back burner, that you got elected, but you didn't keep this promise. This is the risk you're making. If you don't put the tax cuts in first, this is the risk. And by the by, it puts a freeze on all kinds of business investment spending, and I think the stock market would be enormously disappointed.
So, Larry, there is no Republican in the Senate or the House who wants to see a $4 trillion tax increase kick in at the end of the year. That is not going to happen. But you know well, the process of negotiating the tax bill is going to take months. There are lots of trade-offs back and forth. There are trade-offs that are not just ideological, but they're trade-offs between big businesses and little businesses, between families, between blue states and red states, geographic. All of that takes time. And what you don't want to see and what I don't want to see is the House try to do everything all at once in a giant enchilada and have it collapse in failure in August, and we don't get anything done. That would be catastrophic, and so we cannot let that happen.
You'll never get more than one bite out of the apple in the House. Everybody knows that. I'll just say this one thing. I said this in the first segment, or I said it in my riff. Senator Crapo keeps saying to people that extending the tax cuts is a neutral act. It's a policy baseline. It's current baseline, current policy baseline. And second of all, budget committees under reconciliation rules and law have the right to create their own baseline. You all, in other words, in short, Senator Cruz, you're making it harder, or you're making it sound harder than it needs to be.
Larry, I love you, and we found the only topic on earth we disagree on. But listen, I think Mike Crapo is absolutely right that we should use current policy as our baseline. And it's real simple, because the Democrats are arguing, no. You got to say that maintaining the current tax law, maintaining the 2017 tax cuts cost $4.5 trillion. Now, that is utter fiction, and it makes it much, much harder to get it accomplished. And so that's the path the Senate's going to take, is we're going to follow current policy, which is what the precedent has been in the past. And by the way, the Democrats always did do this for spending, and they have the field tilted in favor of more spending and in favor of higher taxes. That's backwards.
That's what they want. But again, I'm saying to you, it should be a neutral baseline extending the tax cuts. Let me move on, Senator Cruz.
Well, then we're agreeing on that, Larry.
All right. Well, phew, I'm glad to hear that. Now, Ukraine, Zelensky, all right? President Trump today really gave him a shot across the bow. Stop talking back. Stop undermining Trump's peace efforts with Putin. And eventually we'll include Ukraine and other people as well. Just stop. He called him essentially a dictator and said martial law. He couldn't win an election in Ukraine. What do you make of that? What do you personally think about that?
Well, listen, number one, it was clear when President Trump campaigned throughout last year that he was campaigning, among other things, on ending the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine was caused by Joe Biden's weakness, his weakness as commander-in-chief. It was caused by Joe Biden waiving the sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline that runs from Russia to Germany. As you know, I authored those sanctions, and Putin stopped building the Nord Stream 2 pipeline literally the day President Trump signed my sanctions legislation into law. So Biden caused the war, but Trump campaigned saying he was going to end the war. And I've been very clear, we will see this war end, and I think it will end in the first half of this year. I think the president is trying to negotiate that resolution. My hope is it is a resolution where the war ends, and it is a clear and indisputable loss for Putin and loss for Russia. That's the outcome I want to see. I think that's the outcome that's good for America. I will say this. I don't think President Zelensky is doing himself any favors by running to the European press and attacking President Trump. You and I both know President Trump very well, and that is a strategy that is almost designed in a lab to produce the opposite of the outcome he's trying to get. And so I think he probably needs to recalibrate his approach.
Yeah, boy, well, you and I agree on that. Anyway, Senator Ted Cruz of the great state of Texas, one big, beautiful senator. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. We appreciate your coming on.